All right, welcome back, Pokemon Go players, to another episode of the Purify Podcast. Today is March 16. There you go, 2025. I am one of your hosts, Luis Palacios, with my co-host, Chris.
Yo, 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 it's your boy, Pokemon Trigger, please. We're back at it again. We're zooming.
We're assuming,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's been a good week. I had a little bit of fun today. It wasn't too bad. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yes, well, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today, but I mean, if you guys aren't either seeing the video or anything like that, or you'll be watching the audio in just a few, listening to the audio. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We have a couple of guests. We may actually get a couple more guests coming through to the podcast here today because we have a big news to talk about, and I want to involve the network for everything going through here. So I appreciate everybody's time to go through. If you guys are busy or anything, I appreciate it so much. Hopefully this will not be the longest podcast, but we have a lot of opinions, a lot of things that's going on. But we're here once again to talk about Pokemon news, updates, and ranting about the game because we love the game just as much as everybody else. Real quick, this episode of the Purify Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon. Everything we do here on the Pokemon Professor Network is powered by our community. You can join our community of supporters of Patreons as to little as $1 a month. I think it's a little bit more, but depends on things. We offer a range of support tiers and various benefits. All patrons will gain access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. All right, so with all of that out of the way, I want to introduce our guests here. They're actually fresh on our guest list here on the Purify podcast. So I want to introduce from the Way Spotters, Jamal and Chris. Yes, this is another Chris. So you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves. What do you guys do? And yeah, just start up.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm Professor Glaw from the Wayfarer podcast. We do a podcast about Wayfarer and kind of creating Pokestops and stuff like that. So I've been playing since 2016. I'm doing Wayfarer since 2019 when it dropped in Pogo.
All right.
And I am Jamal, aka Blame Jamal from the Waste Spotters podcast, the other co-host on the show. And I started playing Pokemon on day 3 because it took me 2 days to figure out if I wanted to do it because I had never interacted with the Pokemon game ever in my life, ever. So I joined on day 3 at the ushering of a few of my coworkers who no longer play. It's funny enough. And I have Chris and I are on season 4 of the Waste Spotters podcast. So I've been doing the podcast for 3 solid years and on the 4th year. And I've been adding Pokestops to the map since 2017, 2018.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's crazy because I know when Wayfarer or anything when it got related to Wayfarer or the creation of the board and any of the games, really, it was just hit or miss. Like, really, we didn't know what we're going to do. I know a lot of people were going through Ingress and things like that to expand on the board in both Pokemon Go and any of the Niantic games at this point. For now. But yeah, I mean, I listen to you guys daily or weekly. I love every episode you guys do. I remember doing Wayfair for the first introduction of it. I did a couple of reviews and I got like the medal in Pokemon Go. But after that, I never really touched the Wayfair stuff and everything. But I'm getting to the point where I want to get to that. But of course, you guys' opinion for today's podcast is very important just for the things that we're going to be talking about for sure. I think that's the base course of action. And I know there's actually a few more people, or I think maybe one more or two, depending on who you're talking to, that they're going to be joining us. So if they join us a little bit later, that's fine. We'll introduce them. This is how we're going to go. So to get you guys started on what's going on, we have some big news, and I keep hinting this in the very beginning of the podcast today. Pokemon Go, or at least Niantic Games, I should probably say, a little more expansion to things. It's being bought out by a completely different company. This is something that we never really touched in the podcast since the last few weeks, mostly because we didn't know if they were just rumors until just recently. And it's a big change in what we're expecting to see. Honestly, I was not expecting it because Niantic loves his IP, especially his Golden Egg, Pokemon Go, and all that. It's definitely something that, in all seriously, I was like, this is just. Even if it does happen, I didn't think it was gonna be a full-on buyout. But we'll go over some of the things here. Let me see if I can. Oh, looks like we got somebody joining us here too. Is that Adam?
That's me. What's up? What's going on? It's Sunday, not Monday.
It is Sunday. Wait, is that Adam or is that Justin?
No, it's Adam.
Oh, hey Adam, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Sorry, I'll turn on my video.
No, it's fine.
I'm just a bunch of bananas.
There we go. See, well, we have Adam from Lure Up joining us here through his phone. Thank you so much. We're just discussing a few things here for Pokemon Go and, of course, everything that's happening in the world. So I want to get everybody's opinion here in a few moments. So thank you again, Adam. Let's wait for to the chat, everybody.
Oh, hey everyone. Should I be sideways? Does this make it better?
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier. Yes, thank you.
All right, there you go.
So as I was explaining, Pokemon Go is being bought out by Scopely, which is a gaming company, I believe in Saudi Arabia. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I'm trying to get all this information for everybody here.
Scopely is an American-based company who's owned by Savvy Games, who's owned by the Saudi Arabian Monetary Fund or PIF or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
so,
it's like a federal thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So technically, Scopely is an American company based in San Francisco and Los Angeles, but their parent company is Savvy Games, which is based in Saudi Arabia. So you would be correct to say the Saudi Arabian government owns Pokemon Go. That would not be a false statement.
All right. So yes.
But like Professor Glock Chris would tell you, there's 3 or 4 levels in there. So while that's true, it's not true. Two things can be true and not true at the same time.
All right. Well, that makes it a lot easier. Thank you so much for that information. So yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that now Scopely is gonna own a bunch of the Niantic games, plus they're actually acquiring Wayfarer, the Niantic teams that actually works on every single one of those games, and Wayfarer, and plus a little bit more. But definitely
Which
Niantic,
is huge.
It is, yes. So the whole gaming industry of Niantic is moving away. Now, they are saying that they're also introducing their new spatial component to Niantic and everything, but that's, of course, the AR components, everything that comes to the technology and everything. Since we know, I mean, everybody here knows, they made a shit ton of money thanks to Pokemon Go and every of the other games out there. We know that they're definitely going to push this to the limits and hopefully not regret the decision at this point, but we'll see how it goes. So Niantic Inc. have reached an agreement with Scopely, a world leader in the mobile games, to acquire Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, and the incredible teams working on these experiences for $3.5 billion from Scopely, with an additional $350 million of cash from Niantic being distributed as a part of the deal, dealing in total avenue of approximately $3.85 billion from Niantic equities holders.
That's just chump change. That's like a weekend, right? No.
I mean, if we're talking remote rates, unlimited price, maybe the price increase or decrease and everything, yeah, they can pretty much make that much money back in like a weekend, a Go Fest weekend or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Rayquaza week, man.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, that's all they need.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to get a little bit of opinions from everybody. Now, as I was saying before, I did not expect this. I did not think that it was going to come through. I know that everybody has this opinion on knowing how it is. So I want to go over, first and foremost, my co-host Chris. I want to see what his opinion says on this. Tell me, what the heck have you been thinking since the announcement of?
Ever since I heard about it, I actually heard about it first from a Trainer Tips video. And I was very interested in his opinions on it. And I think it's either going to be really good or really bad. But we won't know until we actually see the implementations that are made. I guess we'll know as soon as we see if the remote ban gets lifted right
Oh
away.
God.
Because I know a lot of people are thinking they're just trying to monetize immediately. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, and I know that that's like the very first things everybody's going for is like they're starting out to make waves into the Twitter space or Reddit or whatever, saying it's like, hey, if you guys want to make money or save some money from the buyouts, go ahead and give us remote rate limits, unlimited again or something like that.
See, I just want them to make the price a little lower.
Yeah, that could be a thing, but do we really think that they're gonna go that way? That's the biggest question. Now, Adam.
Well,
Maybe.
I hate to be cold water on
Sure.
everything. I really hate to be cold water because
Mhm.
normally I'm like the hot take guy. But I think for all your listeners, I think everybody needs to pump their brakes because they've come out and said that the entire team is remaining the same and it's going to be business as usual. So
Okay.
everybody that's working on Pokemon Go, everyone that's working on Campfire, everybody that's working on all the games, they're keeping all of the same people. They said there's not going to be any layoffs. So the same people are going to be working on the game. Now, I've been part of mergers and acquisitions over the course of my career in a good way. I've been working for a company that's bought another company, and I've been working at a company that's been purchased. What happens over time is the company that buys the other company starts to put their people in strategic places, or people who were in those places before leave and they put a new person in there and things will change. I don't anticipate us seeing any changes through Go Fest season.
Mhm.
Probably 6 to 8 months. I think everything is going to remain the same.
Right.
I would say maybe next season or the season after, you'll start to see some things change because it's like Chris and I talked about this. It's like buying a restaurant. You buy a restaurant and you want to put your items on the menu, but you need to wait. You can't just come in and say, "All right, we were an Italian
Right.
restaurant, now we're Mexican." You've got to go through changes. You've got to make sure that the people, your chefs and everything you have in place know how to cook the food you want. And
Mhm.
your Aunt Gertie's favorite recipe, you got to make sure they do it. So you've got to get people used to the change. So I don't think tomorrow we're going to see remote raids go to 100 coins and
Yeah.
be
No.
unlimited.
Yeah.
Now, 6 to 8 months down the road, sure. So I don't want people like running for the hills and setting their hair on fire. Just kind of chill out and let it play out. There will be changes. Ed Wu said in one of his interviews, Pokemon Go is going to change. It's just not going to change right away.
Correct. And our friends from Lure Up, Adam and Ken, which I know he's around. He will be around probably, I don't know, depending on how things. They actually met up with the creator team and the team that associates with that and ask a bunch of questions, which I will link the article down below and basically just says,
It was a really good article.
yes, it was
Just
a really
saying.
good. Yeah, so make sure you guys check it out for sure. So you guys
See,
can.
I didn't have the opportunity to have the time to get into that first conversation.
Right.
But I am going to be on the makeup call on
Right.
Tuesday.
Oh,
So
okay, cool. So yeah, basically they say that nothing is changing, nothing is promised to change anytime soon. Everybody from Niantic that is moving with Scopely will be doing the best possible way of keeping the game the way that they want to and the way that they think things are currently. And just like Jamon said, it's very fresh, this information. We have basically just days after everything that has been announced, so we know all of this is not going to change overnight. We know that in the end of the day, remotes or whatever the case may be. I know we're keeping coming back to remotes, but this is like the biggest thing when it comes down to the Pokemon Go in the end of the day. But it's just that everything happens for a reason. Everything will move on that currently should be. They have promised us. Well, I don't know if it's a promise. I know that at least they said that they're going to work consistently to the course of the game. Now, the biggest thing, of course, is how Niantic is going to basically end their relationship with Pokemon Go in any of the games that have been bought out. And how is that going to transition from Niantic's core values, which is exploration. Jamal, you can pretty much say this because I know those
Exploration, socialization, and exercise.
There you go. to a more gaming part of things, because the game itself is a game. It's still a game, and that's how Scopely is going to view it. It's going to be a game that people are going to play. They did say in one of their articles that they have been very interested in how Pokemon Go really functions. Now we're going to scream into the void for a couple of months until we see Scopely really changing the ways of things. Like if somebody actually asked, I think in the creator call, are we gonna call it Niantic support? And they said very clearly, all they have to do is just change the name. They're not going probably not call it Niantic support anymore, but they're gonna call it something else eventually, something that's going to be more aligned to Scopely in the end of the day. Now, the other Chris, and right down here, I don't know if you guys looked at there. He actually posts this on GoHub, and I know he has a few things he wants to share for that.
So I just what's going on? Anyway, I think that first of all, we're not going to see any changes for months, right? Because it's going to take months for them to finalize this deal, right? It's got to get approved financially by both of the companies and all the stuff. They just announced that they're doing it. They haven't announced that it's been finalized, right? So it'll be next year before we see any changes.
Yeah.
And like Jamal said, they're bringing along their own teams, right? So the Pokemon Go team's going, the Monster Hunter Now team's going, the Wayfarer team is going. And as much as they say nothing's going to change right away, that's why, right? They feel comfortable saying nothing's going to change right away because Scopely's not actually going to own Pokemon Go.
Correct.
For 6 months.
At least,
but
depending on how those things, yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to see ads in Pokemon Go other than the sponsored balloons that we see. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I don't think remote raids are going to change too much. I made a joke the other day that they're going to remove the remote raid limit, make it unlimited, but the only way you're going to get remote raid passes is through a premium battle pass.
Oh goodness.
I guarantee you there's a battle pass coming.
That
guys
sounds a little better.
He is a prestidigitator. He's a magician when it comes to making these predictions, and almost every prediction he's made has come true. Maybe not to 100%, but to like the 90 percentile. So if he says it,
I said because we did an episode when this news leaked, and I said to Jamal on the podcast, I go, I bet you they end up buying Monster Hunter Now, Pikmin Bloom, and Pokemon Go, and they leave Peridot and Ingress because those are intellectual properties of Niantic, where the other ones have connections to other games, and nailed it, right? So
nailed it.
I can't see Scopely buying this and not putting a battle pass in, because every other game that they own basically has a battle pass, right? So you'll probably get a free one and a paid one.
And I think the best example is, of course, the what we had in GoTour, which is the GoTour Pass or something similar to that, which, of course, you had a bunch of levels to go through. Maybe this one will be a more seasonal one that will go through the steps and things like that. They are also testing, and I know a lot of times we haven't really talked about it, but they are testing someone similarly of a battle pass with buying things in the web store and things like that. So there's small little things. They're putting the pieces together.
Training wheels. They're training us.
Yep.
Right. So
proof of concept.
Proof of concept, correct. Yes.
If you're going to do something new, you got to proof of concept. So, and I can almost guarantee you, because they've been talking about this for months, right? Like this doesn't happen overnight. And the news only broke when they were close to finalizing this deal.
Right.
So I would not be surprised at all if a lot of the stuff that Niantic's been doing in the game was proving to Scopely that this would work.
Right. The biggest...
That makes total sense.
So, Luis, if you look at like this season, remember, Niantic did something they never do. They announced all the dates way ahead of time.
True.
Right? They announced all the dates, all the tickets, everything is done. It's almost kind of like, I'm going to sell this house. I got to get everything painted, and then I give you the keys and you get it. So it's kind of like, I kind of put on my tinfoil hat when Chris and I were talking about this on Friday, and I made a whole lot of assumptions, but the timeline for these things fits so nicely, Luis.
Oh
It
yeah.
fits so nicely. If we think
Yeah.
about it and you listen and you read between the lines of what Michael Steranka said, that he said over the last few months, I've been talking to the studio heads for Scopely. Okay, let's go back a few months. Let's just get in our time machine and go back and think about December 15th, January 15th. Might have been right around the time he's referring to what started happening now. And he's like, hey, let's prove this concept that it works, and then you guys can take it in to the future. So
Right.
we might not be 100% right, but if you just listen to their words, it makes a whole lot of sense. It makes too much
Yeah,
sense.
I never thought about that. That's
Yeah, that's true.
wild.
You know, when you're so much invested in things, into the game itself, like you try to make sure you make the best out of it. So we have a lot of things that have changed over the course of the last few months, introducing new things. I know there's a lot in the works too, which we won't really talk because it's still in the works. But at the end of the day, it kind of, just like Jamal said, it makes sense. I really do see it now more than ever, because I'm always so focused on making sure the Pokemon Go is the main course of this podcast, of course, and just trying to see, okay, what's the next event? What are we going to do? What are our opinions on things and things like that? So we know that at least Tours Go Fest, which it has been announced, it has been put, we all know the dates and things like that. We're planning Ken's, amazing party in his house. I don't know how we're gonna fit that, but we're gonna do it.
It's the vegan block party.
There you go. See, but we're going to go into Go Fest knowing that things are definitely going to be as they are for the rest of the season. Probably another season after that, but that's when they're gonna start seeing more implementations of the game and things like that. And it's not bad for a change. I think the best example correspondence to this, and not because of the bio, but because of a game that I play too, Clash of Clans. I've been playing a lot of Clash of Clans recently again, and it's been super fun. They recently announced a big change that was never going. We never thought it was gonna happen, but it did. And in their blog post, they said, this is not the Clash of Clans that we have back in 2012, 2013, whatever the case may be. And the world is changing. We want people to play the game more. So they're making this big change where people are definitely going to be playing more, just because of the reason that they're going to take away the biggest wait times in the game. So when they mention that, it's like, this is basically similarly comparison to what we're actually experiencing today. Niantic has definitely sold the game, their gaming company, to Scopely. They're gonna change it to things that are gonna be more modernized to the game today. The biggest picture on all this is definitely the Pokemon company, at least when it comes to Pokemon Go. And because each one of them is the different IPs. Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, they're all IPs that they definitely are a gaming port. Monster Hunter has a collaboration with Monster Hunter Wilds, I think. It's the brand new game that everybody's been playing. Pikmin Bloom, I don't know, by the time Niantic, Nintendo company releases the Switch 2 or something, they're going to probably introduce another Pikmin Bloom game or something like that, or Pikmin game in the end of the day. But then,
hey, Luis, real quick, since you mentioned Nintendo,
yeah.
Remember Scopely and Savvy both own a percentage of Nintendo.
There you go. Same.
Just to put that out there.
Yeah. So,
Chris, you didn't know that, did you?
Yeah.
I see the surprise on your
I
face.
I love that Chris, my
That's
Chris at least,
awesome.
I know loves to actually have all the surprises here because
Yeah.
I'm actually happy to hear that.
yes.
Yeah, so Professor Glaw and I, and more him than me, because he's much smarter than me.
I know you wanted to
I'm
say
just-
Chris though.
Yeah, I'm the loud one of the group, and he's kind of the brains of the operation. But he pointed out, no, seriously, he pointed out that Scopely owns, like, everybody that on Twitter that's saying, "Oh, isn't TPC and all these people going to stop this?" They don't realize they've already been vetted. They already own parts of these other companies, so they're a known entity. That's why this thing is going to go through so smoothly. So when you say Nintendo and this and that, when it comes to Monster Hunter, Nintendo knows these people. They
Right.
own part of this company, so
Right.
it's not like this is some foreign entity, quote unquote, pun intended, coming in. They're already part of the family.
Yes, definitely. Knowing that at least Nintendo and its own has a little bit of going with Scopely at this point, it works. It works for them because in the end of the day, they know they're a good gaming company and all that. So don't worry, Justin, I'll introduce you. Knowing that at least the Pokemon company is happy with this kind of exchange, because Pokemon itself, or Pokemon Go itself, is also owned by the IP Pokemon, the Pokemon company. So I'm always eager to see what they say, and I'm always eager to know their biggest factors on this, since we know the Pokemon Go is part of like the Play Pokemon events and things like that, that it's going to be a big change for them too, and how they're going to fix that up. Now, before I continue, we have another guest. Thank you so much for joining us, Justin, from, of course, Special Conditions and Sleep It Off.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
No, just to throw people off.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I
evening.
was still finishing up the research day because I'm an hour behind you guys, and so I was like, oh no, Luis just texted me, but I'm like 30 minutes away. So then I ran back. So we're here.
There you go. Well,
And you can't forget too is Pokemon has their hand in this as well. So TPCI, like they're not going to let this game
oh yeah.
like nosedive. So Scopely's probably got their hands tied a little bit. You know what I mean? There's only so much they can push.
Yep.
Because there's think about all the things Niantic wanted to do but couldn't because we theorized that Pokemon said no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I can't
obvious
wait
that-
for all these people who wanted all this stuff to change and it to not change, because behind the scenes, Niantic's hands were tied.
I definitely
Yeah.
would love to see. Well, I call him Papa Hankey, but of course, John Hankey, the CEO of Niantic, really say a few words about all this. I know he hasn't really said anything in years at this point, at least when it comes down to the Twitter space or anything. But I know I wanted to hear something from him, since he's the one that basically brought us all together, brought all of
This
this
is true.
together.
This is true. And it's like we met him at GoFest or multiple GoFests. So it's
Right.
like
But how many ago?
I believe it was New York.
So,
Oh, really?
about 2
Okay,
years
that's
ago,
awesome.
so, yeah.
New York #1. You guys were riding on the golf cart with him, right?
Oh.
Or did you guys ride on the golf cart with
No,
him?
he
and-
came.
and
He came to the
Kestrel?
tent and we like shook hands and stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He and Kestrel were on the golf cart, right? Was that?
I don't remember. Ken would know better because
Oh.
he pays close attention. I can see what's in front of me.
Well, we're getting
I was
another
looking
guest
for
coming through
those
soon.
shinies.
Yeah, there you go. See, it's more about the shinies at this point when it comes down to Pokemon Go. Our experiences to how this game has definitely have brought us all together, more than anything, really. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that this is something that it's going to be a big change, definitely. I know that we're not going to be able to make the same jokes and memes anymore. Just because
I know.
Niantic-
Come on, the Niantic with the balloon like crashing, like that was
Oh,
such
yeah.
a good meet. Like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We have another guest joining us in just a moment. I know he is probably getting everything set up here, but
yeah. Does my audio is it just complete trash because I'm on my phone?
no, I hear you pretty well. I'm sure everybody
It's not
else is.
horrible.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Okay, because I mean I can turn on the computer because I'm in the same like position.
Yeah.
I wasn't at first. I thought it was just a Zoom call. Like you just were like, hey, go join the
Hey, hey, come join the
Go.
lesson.
Oh, I'm on a podcast.
Lane, are you there?
Hold on.
All right, cool.
Let there be. Yeah, I thought we were just hanging out. I didn't know this was a show. I'm with
You
Adam.
gotta put a
on the-
T-shirt on, Lane. You gotta put a T-shirt on.
Yeah, but please make sure that you guys are there.
You can't just roll in like a quagsire, you know.
Pants are optional.
Well, that's true. Nobody can see
Call
our
it
I'm
Winnie
wearing
the
pants.
Pooh in it. Oh, that's the opposite.
So, to continue on a few things, and I know Lane will introduce himself when we get him back in video format here. So now that we know that Scopely is going to be basically our new daddies, what are we expecting, really? I mean, I understand we're seeing a lot of things. Hey, there he is. Woohoo! How's it going, Lane? From Good Morning Johto. By the way, make sure you get your coffee next time.
Work every day. Go please our daddies.
Yes. Well, I mean, we're sharing our opinions and things about the whole bio things and everything. So I want to get Lane's opinion too on what he expects to see and what he expects from this big change that Pokemon Go and all of the other games are happening?
I don't know.
Nah.
I think here this is my one thing of it, right? They could just not change anything,
True.
right? Like they could just like but I know with the layoffs a couple years ago and some of the different things, like I don't know how great it was doing. But it seems if you're selling it for almost $4 billion, it seems to be doing pretty freaking good. But
Is
yeah,
Lane's audio blown out for everyone else?
dang it.
It happens every time we're in a Zoom call, so don't worry about it. Everybody who's listening in audio is gonna be having much time when he listens.
Oh,
to
okay. I fixed it.
There you
I
go.
fixed it, and then when I added my camera, it went back down.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, I think like there'll be some stuff like to add it. I hope, but minimal. Yeah, but who knows? I think the big worry for me is like Go Fest and stuff like that because they've never done. A minority of games don't do that, right? Like it's an outlier for.
Like, what does their live ops team looks like? You know, what does that look like?
True.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Lane. I don't know if you had a chance to read the interview that Michael Storenka did, and he said,
I just don't know how to read, but continue.
Yeah, well, he said one of the selling points for the transaction was their live ops team, and Scopely was very impressed on how Niantic is able to pull off these big scale events, and that entire team was staying together. So I think personally that's one of my that's the least of my fears is a live ops team. I think
True.
that is what distinguishes this live service game from every other live service game. Monopoly Go's not getting 100,000 people together.
But they are
Clash of
making good money, though.
Clans, you know,
They're
they're
making
not
good
getting
money.
everybody together. One of the things, Luis, that I really am looking forward to is from reading, I've read every article about this, and from what it sounds like, all of the teams are going to get increased budgets. That's one of the things I was able to kind of read between the lines. So there's going to be more money and more staff as opposed to laying off
Right.
for these games. Now, also, I think that with Niantic being the primary AR focused, I think put on my tinfoil hat or my I'm gonna do my inner Chris, my inner Professor Glaw and predict the future. I believe you're gonna see a bigger focus with this team on gameplay versus scan this and do this and all these other things to kind of build the geospatial map. That's gonna be a Niantic thing. So I think the proactive steps Scopely is going to take is going to actually improve the gameplay because Scopely, remember, is a gaming company. Niantic never shied away from the fact that they were a mapping company. They were an AR company. They were doing all this stuff to someday you're going to put on a pair of glasses and be able to like interact in the metasphere.
Yeah,
They
that's the
never
cybernetic
ran-
eye that everybody wants.
Yeah.
So
they never ran from the fact that that was what they were doing. They never said they were a gaming company.
Yeah.
They were a mapping company that ran a game. Pokemon Go is now going to be run by a gaming company
Which
with
is the biggest thing.
heck of a lot of resources
Yes.
to get things done.
yeah, that's definitely the biggest thing when it comes down to it is knowing that we are changing from, of course, what you mentioned, the AR space or the augmented reality and things like that to a more gaming stuff things. Now, in the blog post that Ken, of course, share, he one of the questions is like the focus of AR and scanning, would that be taken away from Pokemon Go knowing that that's the case? And Staranka basically
Please.
says that everything that makes Pokemon Go basically the game itself is staying the way that it is. So all the AR, all the things that we already know, everything's staying the same. Now, knowing how that's going to change in the future, we have yet to see. Or we will see, maybe.
I think that's everything, though, right? Like, I think it's very asinine to like already jump ship or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, at least just figure out what's happening first. Like,
Yeah, definitely. It's we know nothing's gonna change, and I'm so interested in why they decided to do it before the 10-year anniversary. Because if it would have been at the 10-year mark, then maybe it would have been a little. That would make, at least in my head, a lot more sense.
Hot take, maybe because it is for the 10th anniversary that they wanted to go all out for this,
True.
and this is the way.
by all out,
These are the
meaning
resources.
all the
This
way
is the way.
out the door.
I wonder if PPCI kind of stepped in and was like,
guys
"What's your
need to do
vision
more."
for this? You need to do more."
Yeah.
And then
I'm
Niantic
picturing
kind
that
of thought,
meme.
yeah,
I'm
I think
picturing that
Niantic
meme where
kind
you
of
poke
thought,
him with a stick.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
like please do more, please do something.
do something. Like I wonder if Niantic kind of had a meeting internally and was like, maybe Pokemon Go has outlived its usefulness. Like we've
That's
got
true.
Peridot, we've got Ingress,
Right.
we can the stuff that we're trying to do, and I said this on the Wastepotters, Peridot is proof of concept. They're doing all this AR stuff, they throw it into Peridot, and that's kind of what they're doing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the things, well, the two games that they're keeping, of course, Ingress and Pokemon, not Pokemon Go, but Period, is that they're more focused on the real world aspect, the AR aspect, the
yeah,
Manctity
right.
aspect, knowing that that's how it works. So that's how Niantic really sees the world and wants to see the world and open the world to everything. Who knows? Maybe in another 8 to 10 years, we can see Niantic be implemented back into Pokemon Go or any of the games to really share what we really expect to do. It's the open concept of an augmented reality game into the real world and playing the games that we love in a way that we never seen it before. A lot of things, technology is changing every single day, and that's what I'm hopeful that that's gonna happen. But of course, won't know and see. We'll probably be playing this game until the day we die. But
Luis, so here's the thing. John Hankey is like the man with the golden ticket. Because you have to think about this. If you look at his history, start off as a Niantic employee or start off as a Google employee, convince the people at Alphabet, convince the people at Alphabet to give him $50 million, I think it was, to start Niantic, right? Something like that. It was between 25 and $50 million to start Niantic. So Niantic spun out of Google, which is, owned by Alphabet. And now he's turned that into, I think they said they were able to pay back all their investors and had money left over. Now John Hankey has gotten a $250 billion blank check to run Niantic Spatial. So that guy has got it down. He knows how to get the seed money to do something, and then he sold it, and then got more seed money to start over with this passion project. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
the dude is smart. You can't argue with that.
With all this, it's like, what if Scopely is buying, like, like you said, everything happens for reasons. What if Scopely is buying Pokemon Go so they can work on the game aspect, and then they invest into Niantic, but Niantic now can focus on all their AR stuff, and then
Allocating
could be
resources.
it could be like 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, they come back together.
Yeah.
And they work together
Yeah.
to be like, whoa, now we can do it because we've had all this focused time to learn
true.
how to do all this AR stuff without the limitations of Pokemon Go.
Right, and of course,
Without Pokemon being
What a
the
nice
hammer.
kumbaya moment.
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ifs.
That's my hot take.
Yeah.
Circle back
think
to
you
this
nailed
like
it.
5 years from now.
I
think
mean,
you nailed it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because if you read all of the announcements from Scopely and from Niantic, they're pushing very hard that this is not necessarily an acquisition; it's a partnership,
Right.
right? Like they read like we are teaming up. It's not just bye bye, see you later. It's a partnership. So I think you nailed it. I said this the other day. If Scopely buys all these points of interest, and they now have access to all this map and all this AR stuff, what's to stop them from using it to create other games?
True.
Right? Or to use it for their other property. Maybe we see Harry Potter Wizards Unite come back.
Oh my god.
Maybe that Transformers game actually gets off the ground. Maybe all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Scopely can do that.
I was
And then,
wondering about that.
right?
If
Right.
they got access to those old IPs that died.
That's a good question for somebody to answer at some point in the future, I'm sure. But
Tuesday. No.
Wait, okay. I want to weigh in just a little bit on it. Some of those companies they're already working for, right?
Yeah.
So like Marvel Strike Force is already like a partnership, and then we remember Marvel game was one of the ones that was in the garbage, right? Like they said it was just mostly IP based. So that's what we did on Good Morning Johto on Thursday, is covering like the Monopoly Go was so much percentage of Wizards of the Coast, like Hasbro's money last year. Like Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast was like a majority, if not like 70-80%, but the rest was Monopoly Go.
Right. Yeah.
Like Hasbro's quarterly like earnings, and then they did their yearly earning review. Monopoly Go was all over the place. Like it is their other than Magic, which is the granddaddy of them all, for Monopoly Go to be even more than so much percentage in so many years, right?
Right. Right. No, you're right. And it's definitely it's come to see that there's going to be a lot of changes, not just with Pokemon Go, but with the company itself. Knowing the Niantic Special is going to become huge in the AR, which we don't know still if it's going to become huge or not. We just know that it's going to be there and they have the money for it. We know that Scopely is going to integrate the games into their own ways with the core values of how each game works. So it's yet to see what they're going to do, knowing that at least for the next year, we're gonna not see that big of a changes aside from what is already planned into the future of things. Because Pokemon Go at least has Go Fest. Most likely will have a collaboration with Pokemon CA or Legend CA that comes out later this year. Pokemon Company definitely has a timeline of things to release consistently with Pokemon Go, and that's how they work with the companies in the end of the day. So just like the TCG, Pocket, or anything when it comes down to Pokemon, really has to have a timeline already set for them. So what implementations is they're gonna come is definitely yet to see, and we'll keep saying it from now, knowing that it's gonna be a completely different company that we're gonna be screaming into the void now. But definitely something that's going to be a welcome change. And Toll is not. If we really see it, we can only see the pros and cons. And I mean, this game has been ups and downs since the very beginning of the day. From the lag out service in the very first few days, because they had the smallest team in the world and they became the biggest company out there, to the lag outs in GoFest or things like that. I know I'm looking at the negatives, but of course, all of that is experience. All of that experience that they have earned, that Niantic has earned, proves that they can run this game functionally in some way that comes from the core values of it. Now, what Scopely is implementing that and hopefully running with it, knowing that they're not going to make the same mistakes. And of course, the teams that are accustomed to the things will know.
My question, sorry,
yes.
just to
go ahead,
is, are they going to be as adamant on spoofers? Or is it because it's still money? They're like, I'm just going to look the other way.
We don't know, but we know that there is a terms of service that they're definitely going to be changing Niantic terms of service and things like that.
Tinfoil hat. I don't think Niantic cared. I think Pokemon cared more.
That too. I definitely agree to that.
You know, Pokemon doesn't like cheaters.
I mean, they definitely don't.
That's
when
true.
You're seeing there. But it's the what ifs and what happens and whatnots in the end of the day. So,
and Pokemon doesn't like their monsters to be commodities also.
True.
And if you're spoofing, you're essentially just spoofing into a raid and it's like, here's my 99 cents, give me my legendary. And you know, I'm not even a big, huge like legacy Pokemon person, and I know they don't want them to be commodities.
Right. Right. So,
which is why I don't think remote raids is going to change that much.
Which I don't think so either. Again, knowing that they want to keep the game that way that it is great. Maybe more accessibility could be a thing, but not to the point where it's going to change the game drastically at this point. We won't know until we see it. I hope to see big, good changes without the monetization part of things as much. But again, this game has been monetized to the core of what we can do. I mean, ticket is almost every single event. We have a bunch of events in the works for the rest of the year, and so on and so forth. Because everybody plays this game, and everybody has been playing this game since the beginning of it. So, but yeah, I mean, I love all the opinions. I love all the tinfoil hat theories. Keep bringing them in because there's more to come. There's more to see. And knowing that we feel strongly about this as much as the next guy that has been screaming into Twitter, we know that at least we can care about this game and give the opinions that we can share to not just our viewership or our audiences out there, but to anybody who's actually listening to this. So it's definitely something to come forward, and hopefully we'll make a good out of it without much implementation. Now, is anybody else has any more Team Fallout theories they want to share? Anything else that they want to craft?
Did you guys already talk about the dark side of company acquisitions?
I believe we talked a few things.
Maybe Jamal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah.
'Cause I know
Okay,
you,
just
you're,
like-
you're versed in this area also.
As a person who worked for a company that was acquired by a much larger company, it's not exactly tomatoes to tomatoes here, but I was at a 40-person company, and we got bought by, it was a client of ours, but they bought us. And then slowly over time, a bunch of people got laid off, and before I knew it, after I gotten laid off, 50% of the staff had been turned over within 14 months. So for a 40-person company, that's a lot. And when I was talking with a bunch of recruiters in this aspect, it's not uncommon to have a high turnover, whether voluntary or involuntary, for acquisitions or quote unquote partnerships like this. Because mine was branded as a partnership too, and that's what you tell everyone. But that doesn't mean that's what actually happens. So there'll be
Justin,
part of there'll be some
you
people.
nailed it. That's the timeline that I gave was 8
Yeah.
to 14 months. That because I've been through two of these. One I was on the good side, and one I was on the bad side. And that's kind of that timeline. Just enough time to let the smoke clear and the dust settle, and then slowly, all of a sudden, your director is not your director. It's a guy from the other team, and blah 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 blah. And it just slowly starts to change.
Yeah.
And
No.
I would be more worried about this for Pokemon Go in general, except Niantic's been doing it to their own employees and the high turnover and everything. It's already
Yep.
been insane.
Yeah.
So at this point, whatever.
I mean, maybe they were already planning this years to come, and the layoffs were part of the thing in that point. So it's just like Jamon said, everything is fitting together to the point where we knew that this was coming. We just didn't know how. And
I have one tinfoil hat just in regards to this.
Right.
It's something that I saw coming, I think, after. This is something I've seen with business before and with anything, that the tickets almost make sense because you're wanting your profits to be more maximized, right? If you're not caring about the morality or whatever of it, you're wanting to look when you're, let's say I'm Niantic sitting down with Scopely, I can say in the last year, our profits margin went up X percent, right? Because of the amount of tickets, because of the amount of stuff the last 2 years. And I just know you're wanting to go when you're going to the bank, wanting to get your company, basically how much revenue you're bringing in just to everything to see. And the monetization of the last 2 years can kind of shows the writing on the wall for that, right? Once you think about to show how much they've been doing.
Yeah, it's basically all about money at this point. It's working stores, betting in both of the companies, and knowing that our IPs will be safe in each one of them. But what changes? Again, the biggest changes are yet to come. Knowing that this is only a few days into the buyout, into the acquisitions, and whatever the case may be. So, I mean, I'm hopeful for the game. I've always been optimistic about the game, and I know that Pokemon Go will not go anywhere anytime soon until it does. I mean, it really is when it will be the end of things. Maybe not anytime soon. Maybe not in the next 5 years. We're definitely gonna keep at least a 10-year mark here at some point. I just love that everything is coming in a way that it will help the game. And hopeful that it's gonna stay that way for the future, So
Yeah, I doubt they want to lose money, so I think they're definitely going to do a good job.
yeah, that's for sure. And I know that everybody's going about it's remote race is the very first thing that I saw on Twitter. It's the one piece of
That's the only thing Twitter cares about.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. I mean. Look, I would not be a player if I didn't say that I wanted to, because there is some things about remote race that actually makes it accessible and a few things. But knowing that this will always be the biggest factor into a lot of the conversations out there is I want to just give it a break. It's more than break. I just want to let go. I'm one of the guys that want to say, take it away from everybody. Just take it all gone. And at that point, the game is over. But still, So.
Well, my hot take, well, not a hot take. I don't even know if it's a hot take, but the question that I want to ask to kind of burn the house down is, will we ever see remote trading with Lucky Friends? Right? Because Chris and I have talked a lot about terms of service, more me than him, because he's a rule follower. Me, not so much. I want to like break everything. I like to, on waste spotters, I like to put situations in front of Chris that I know he's going to squirm because he's a rule follower. And I'm like, what about this? And he's like, and he just, gets the rolled up paper and slaps my hand, follow the rules because I don't mind breaking things. But if, but think about this, guys. Think about this. Niantic's tenants, and I know they said everything was going to remain the same, but what if Scopely doesn't really care that you're not, within 20 meters of each other? What if they're like, hey, you guys are best friends. You should be able to trade these Pokemon. That's a Niantic thing. At least we think it could be a TCPI thing, but I think that's a Niantic thing. I do.
I think
I
it's a
mean,
Niantic thing too.
I think it's a Niantic thing, and they might say, "Hey, you know what? What if you have to buy a certain? There's already a lucky trinket. What if you have to buy a certain something that's 99 cents in the store? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, I'm not a hardcore Pokemon guy. What if you've got to buy something for
You're
99
like, I
cents?
bought a link cable, and
Yeah,
that's
I know. There you go. Yeah.
And then you
It's
can
possible.
trade with your buddy in Germany, right?
Yeah.
I'd do it because then I can get this dang lucky friend off my list and it stops popping up.
Well,
But
something like that will be implemented only in a few occasions, just like the Master Ball. Because if they do actually implemented it in a more consistent way, then they basically just breaks the whole go out and explore with your friends kind of deal. Same with remotes, but still, it's like the trading part of things luckily has stayed the same, and it's been one of the things that it's like if you meet that person, once you meet that person, it's the biggest thing in the world because you're like, oh, I got a lucky trade with you, I gotta do this right now because I'm not gonna see you again probably for another 5 years and things like that. If they do implement a feature like that, there's definitely going to be a once in a yearly kind of deal, just like the Master Ball and things like that. So it's just, I see it. I see the point. I know that Scopely will care probably more about the gaming aspect and how they're going to implement that because they want people to actually do what they want to do. But it's not going to be something that's going to break the core value of what Pokemon Go already is. And that's what at least the team that's being acquired is going to keep in mind until, more and more years come to by in the end of the day. I love the idea. Trust me, I like all the ideas are being put on the table right now. All the things that all the tinfoil theories are being put, basically lay out for Scopely to be like, hey, we want this. Oh, hey, we want to try that. Oh, hey, how's it going here? But how is it going to work? Really, it's yet to see. Maybe they will never get to that point, and hopefully it doesn't. But again, I'm the kind of guy that wants to things to stay in some capacity the same. I know it's not gonna all stay the same, but how Pokemon Go is, I love the way the game works, where I can go out, hang out with my friends, trade with people, raid with people, max battle with people, whatever the case may be. I just want to make sure that at least Pokemon Go or any of the other games really to stay in a consistent basis where it is what we have shown. At least now the Pokemon Go is the oldest of the games. Knowing that we learned from everything in the last 8 years is what is going to come into fruition into the future of the game. Hey, we're all into nine generation, hopefully 10 by the next year or so, depending on how Pokemon Company really does. And so on and so forth. The game is gonna continue moving forward, knowing that that's how the game will work, and maybe we'll see something big come through, and we don't know that yet. We will see. It is yet to see the biggest things to go. So, anybody else has anything to say? No? All right. Well, I do appreciate everybody to come into the podcast today. I know this was a kind of like a scuff getting everybody together kind of deal. I do appreciate taking the time of your night. And if you guys want to come on over any single time, really appreciate it. Of course, we're going to be talking more Pokemon Go from here on out because it is a Pokemon Go podcast. But still, I do appreciate everybody. So before we go in anything else, I want every single one of you to go ahead and shout out anything you want to do, where they can find you, where they can listen to, anything that we might just go through and take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
Gonna need some direction here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gwa, you go first.
All right. You can find the Waste Spotters podcast anywhere you can catch a podcatcher. Just search Wayspotters, you'll find us. We're on basically everyone. You can find me personally at Professor Glaw on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, me and Jamal drop a show every Sunday. We got one today, dropped today. We're talking about Scopely and how it might affect Wayfarer. Lots of hot takes. So go ahead and listen.
Yes. Probably the best way to reach Wayspotters podcast is go to Linktree and type in Wayspotters. And from there, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 different ways you can interact with us. The best way is just go to Linktree, type in Wayspotters, and then pick your poison. From Spotify to Apple to our website to email to Patreon to merch to Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. We're all there. Go to Linktree, type in Wayspotters, and you'll find us.
All right, how about get Lane to talk about where he's going?
Lane from Good Morning Johto, Monday through Friday. We're going to be covering this week everything happening Go, preparing for TCG rotation in a few weeks, plus card prices going up and down from the sets that are rotating. See, I like to cover the price side because I know another show isn't going to cover the prices of the
Lane,
rotators.
what cards that are rotating are going up and or down?
Oh
What
my
are the big
God.
ones?
Probably Giratina, probably. I don't know. Any of the like smaller stuff from Lost Origins. What else is rotating? Is Fusion Strike rotating, right?
Fusion
So you're
Strike's already
telling
gone.
me,
It's
telling
Silver
me-
Tempest,
Lugia.
you're telling me my Manaphy?
Oh, Crown Zenith Manaphy? Hot. Anything from Crown Zenith. It already spiked in December. We'll see another spike because people love the cards.
There you
Okay.
go. There you go. What about
I know,
Adam
it's hurting
and
my wallet for
Justin?
my collection.
Yeah.
I'm Adam. I am the co-host of the Lured Up podcast, and I am the host of the Special Conditions podcast. You can find us at Special Con TCG on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, Pokemon Professor Network. Yeah, that's all I got. Justin, your turn. Oh wait.
Yes.
Phoenix Back for Fire on Twitter for me. That's all I got.
Yeah, so we're the most active, I would say, like as a group, on Instagram, on the Pokemon Professor Instagram channel, and YouTube. So that's where you'll find any of our content for Special Conditions or Sleep It Off or other tangential random Pokemon Go related things. And coming up this week, I'm editing our interview with TGA. We had an interview with the head grader of TGA, so exciting things.
Yes.
It's a grading company.
Make sure you always send your cards to the graded authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget
Oh,
to use
and-
code FULLHEAL for 10% off your order.
There you go.
And if
guys.
you're looking for stuff on the psychic event, we already covered it in last week's Sleep It Off, so go find it.
Yeah, please, just make sure you listen to that because I mean I definitely want to go to sleep
YouTube,
after this.
Spotify, anywhere.
Yes.
Sleep It Off.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. And anybody who's also listening, make sure you check out the purifypodcast.com. Of course, it's linked to the Professor Network. Our Twitter or X, whatever you guys call it. Pure Let It Go. Pokemon Trigger Please. Again, that is PKMN Trigger Please with a C at the end, just because, nobody else knows how it works. And then, of course, all of our podcast services fees, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and in all those places. Definitely make sure you can leave us a review. We really appreciate it. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was a big thing that we wanted to talk about. Hopefully, we get to do this sometime soon in the future. But this is Chris. You want to take us away for the night?
Yeah, this was super exciting. I was so close to just being like, yeah, I'm Chris. I'm part of the Purified podcast. You might have heard of it. But
Wait, who are you
You should
again?
have.
Chris number 2. No. But yeah.
But not inferior to Chris number 1.
equal.
Yeah.
But it's been fabulous. I very much enjoyed chatting with everyone and hearing everyone's opinion on the acquisition. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the future Pokemon Go. I can tell that everyone here is too. And yeah, very much looking forward to talking about Pokemon Go next week with you, Lewis.
All
And yeah, hope everyone else is
looking forward to the future. Peace out, guys.
All right, and keep purifying, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.